when stars are in light, the weeper, we would know.
Hello, how is everyone? You might all of a sudden notice that I am not in my office. And if you're observant if you're that observant, you figured that out, it's because we had to relocate so that we could get power to do this live broadcast, because Beth and I live in Dallas, or actually in Prosper, Texas, just a northern suburb of Dallas, where we've been on rolling blackouts for the last 2 days, 30 minutes on, 30 minutes off. Every once in a while, they surprise you and you get an hour or 90 minutes of power. But then every once in a while, they surprise you and you get an hour or 90 minutes of no power. It's really, it's a form of torture, but we've relocated and we have power and we're excited to be here. And I'm excited to do the show with Beth. Hi, Beth. Say hello to everyone.
Hello, and I also am excited to be here.
So, and wherever you're joining us from, I see we have other people from Texas, from someone from India, someone from Chattanooga, Atlanta. Let us know where you're coming from. It's always fun for us to see. And just for fun and to like annoy us, tell us what the weather is. And because then we'll be like jealous, and that'll be fun for us to be jealous. But it'll be 60 degrees next week, so we're all good. All right. Like we've been doing for the past few weeks, we are unpacking the media sales report. And if you haven't downloaded the media sales report, although I know thousands of people have, if you have not got around to doing that yet, you should go and download the media sales report. It's loaded with great data, which will allow you to make incredible insights. And that's what we're going to do today. By unpacking it, we're taking the data, we're taking what we learned from the surveys that we put out there back in October of last year, and we're going to unpack it and share with you some of our insights. And today specifically, we're going to talk about hiring and selecting and using talent assessments and some of the best practices of doing that. And I know that there is, because I posted this on LinkedIn and Facebook the other day, and a lot of people messaged me directly already saying that they were glad that we had, that we're going to have this conversation. And they even sent in some questions that I'm going to ask. But if you have questions, you can put them here in the comment box, and we'll try to get to them. Sometimes they don't show us in real time. But if you want to reach out directly to Beth to ask her a specific question that maybe we don't get to, I know Shay, our marketing manager and producer extraordinaire, will put it up the LinkedIn, and there it is right there. And that's a way to, so let me introduce Beth, who is a partner at CSS, as well as our VP Talent Services, and also the head of a new division of our company that we're real proud of called Up Your Culture. But we're not going to talk about Up Your Culture today. we'll get to that at another time. Today, we're going to focus on the talent services. Hi, Beth. Welcome to the live cast.
Thank you. I've been watching these every week, so I'm really excited to be a part of it today.
Excellent. And so I have a bunch of questions that I'm prepared to ask. And if something comes up, or if I'm not asking a question that you think is really relevant, feel free just to not just answer questions, but join in and share some additional insights. So one of the things that we'll jump in like this. One of the things that's special about the Center for Sales Strategy is that we have a reason for being. And it's something that everyone that works here knows. And we say it like in every staff meeting and every meeting that we're together, either virtually or in person. We also talk about that our reason for being is to turn talent into performance. What does that mean, turn talent into performance? Let's start there.
Yeah, it's a great place to start. And I love having that reason for being for our company because it really centers everything we do around that. What it really means is that everyone has talent, which is your potential. And we work with managers doing consulting or salespeople doing training. We work with companies to understand the talents that people have, to select people who have the right talents for a job, and then beyond that, to coach them in a way that they need to be coached so that they reach their potential. A talent is really, it's sort of latent. You know, you might have a talent for a thing, but if you aren't coached, if you're not trained, if you don't have the opportunity to practice and really refine that talent, it may never become a strength. So turning talent into performance is really the end goal for reaching our potential.
Yeah, I think if we were purely an assessment company, our reason for being might be to get people to take assessments, right? But that's not where we stop. It's like just identifying talent is smart and good and important, but helping people reach the potential is really the key.
That's right. And you'll hear, I'm sure you're going to ask me a question that'll lead to this, but I'll just say, you know, we help clients with talent in the areas of recruitment, selection, development, and engagement. And you've got to nail everything on that spectrum in order to really reach performance.
Yeah, so let's kind of go a little bit deeper into this conversation. So when it comes to hiring, or let me say it better, when it comes to selecting, when it comes to selecting, what is it that a sales manager, because we're talking about salespeople in this case, what is it that a sales manager really needs to know? What is it that they need to look for? I know with CSS, we talk about job analysis and job spec sheet. Unpack that for everybody.
Yeah, so we want to encourage any manager who's hiring to think about three things, three big rocks: talents, skills, and experiences when they're considering who might be right for a job. And you mentioned the job spec sheet, the job analysis and spec sheet. And I think that's, you know, a great tool to get there. Ideally, you want to think of the job first before you think about the people who might be right for that job. You want to start by thinking about the job. And what would excellence look like in that job? What natural behaviors would someone need to have in order to be successful in that job? What skills do you want them to be able to come with versus what are you willing to teach? And what experiences do you want them to have? And the job spec sheet helps you think that through, talent, skills, and experiences, so that you're able to know, well, you have a round hole, so you need to go get a round peg, or you have a square hole, so you need to get a square peg.
Yeah, I think what we see when we're working with our clients is some people get addicted to just one of those things. Like, right, they're just looking for a certain experience, or they're just looking for a certain set of skills, or they're just looking for talent. And I think what you're saying is it's really the combination of the three.
It is. And you know, it's interesting. There's sort of a pendulum swing that we see when companies start working with us. What happens typically is when a company has never worked with us before and they first sign on for help, we find that they put a whole lot of weight in the experiences. So that resume to them is a gold mine, and they're very focused on what that candidate has done in the past. And then once they understand, they start using the talent assessments and they start seeing those talents in real life. And they have these aha moments where it's like, oh, this graph told me that this person would have a strength and discipline, and wow, do I see that strength and discipline. The pendulum ends up swinging sometimes too far the other way, where our clients start really only paying attention to talent. And they think, well, this talent assessment shows this person is recommended, I'm going to hire them. And they stop thinking through the rest of it. And so my job, I think, is to really help keep that balance so that they're paying equal attention to talent, skills, and experiences. The difference is you can't give someone talent. That's the only thing you really can't give someone. Someone is either wired to be highly competitive or they're not, or they're wired to be a social creature or they're not. But you can give someone skills, you can give someone experiences. So you do want to pay extra attention to the talents, but it's no more important than anything else.
I've heard you say it's like you can't teach someone to be curious, right? You can teach them questions. You can teach anybody, here's a set of questions you need to ask. And someone that's not curious will simply ask the questions because that's what you taught them to do. But someone that's curious will take those questions and it will help them to do so much better, and they'll really excel based on that training or that learning. And that's like turning talent into performance, like you said. All right. So in the media sales report, one of the questions that we asked is, do you use a talent assessment? And 85% of the managers that responded said, yes, they do use a talent assessment. I don't know what the other 15% are doing. I guess they're just guessing. But 85% do. That's awesome. By the way, that the survey was not just our own clients. It was to everybody. Of the 85% of them thought that the results that they got, the feedback that they got from the talent assessment was very, very accurate. So that's excellent, right? That's excellent. So people are using assessments and they're trusting and they're going with the information that they got because they believe it's working and it's true. In general, tell us about talent assessments versus personality assessments. And I know that there are some there are books you can buy where in the book it'll say, here, go to this website and fill out this form and we'll tell you what your generic talent. Tell us, solve this problem.
So there's so many assessments on the market, and a lot of them are really good. You just need to know what the assessment was built to do. So there are personality indicators. You can take a personality test, learn a little bit about your personality. You'll hear the words behavior inventory. Things like that are what I would consider descriptive. So if someone takes a descriptive assessment of any sort, the assessment is going to feed back on what that person is like. So like Strength Finders is a really good example of a descriptive assessment. You can take the Strength Finders assessment and learn a little bit about yourself, or people that you work with can learn a little bit about you. The talent assessments we use are descriptive as well, but they're also predictive. And I think that's the big difference maker. And they're predictive very specifically for a job. And we can get into the details of it if you want, but just in general terms, our talent assessments are designed to identify the behaviors specifically related to success in a job. So somebody might have all sorts of talents, but they're not going to lead them to success in, let's say, a sales job. And we're looking at a sales job. And so we want it to be predictive for that.
Got it. So if someone took our assessment that's specific for salespeople and said, I'm going to use this to help me determine if someone could be a really good sales assistant, it might be interesting information, but it wouldn't be predictive information in that case. Do I have that right?
You have that right. Yeah. And we actually have 4 assessments now that we use. One would be ideal for a sales assistant. We have one for salesperson, sales manager, and it's really fascinating if you look across these assessments. What makes someone outstanding in one of those jobs is really, really different than what makes them outstanding in another job. So you'll learn something interesting no matter what, but if you use the right assessment, you'll also have a good predictive recommendation for the role.
So how does CSS make the sale? How did the sales assessment get built? And And is it really, I mean, how accurate is it? And how do you know? Is it current? I mean, is this today's salesperson or is this yesteryear's salesperson?
Okay, let me see if I can tackle all of those. So we partner with a company called Talent Plus, and they are the world leader in talent assessment design for organizations that are looking to become what we call a talent-based organization. So companies that want to hire the right people and put them in the right jobs based on their innate talents and then coach them to grow in those jobs. Right? That's what Talent Plus specializes in. And we partnered with them to build our assessment. So it takes about, well, I'd say a year to 18 months to build an assessment. Yes, they're current. They're always current. Now, the 4 assessments that we currently have actually were all very recently built. So the benchmark study was recent, which makes them extremely current. But even a year or 2 years or 3 years from now, they're still current because we are constantly doing look back research and making sure that the assessment is working, comparing it to the performance that we see. But Talent Plus, what they do is they study a job and they figure out what behaviors make someone outstanding in that job. And they use a contrast group. So they look at what I always call superstars and strugglers. So what are the superstars so good at that the strugglers just, it doesn't come as natural to them? And then they build their assessments to find those specific behaviors.
Yeah, it's really fascinating, right? I mean, and it's accurate, right?
It is accurate. Otherwise, our companies, our clients wouldn't be using us. But they say on average, if someone just blindly makes a hire based on gut instinct and resume and all the things you can gather without a talent assessment, you're going to get that right about 50% of the time. So it's pretty good, better than nothing. You'll have some winners and some losers. With a talent assessment, if you hire strictly on the recommendation, you're going to get that right 4 out of 5 times. And if you use more than just the recommendation on the graph, but you actually think through with a talent analyst, what is your management style? What is your company culture like? What accounts would this person be calling on? If you really think through how the talents align, it's going to be even higher than that.
Got it. So I know that all the people watching or watching in the future that work at a company that has an HR department, or anyone in HR that's watching this is probably thinking, is this assessment biased? What is it screening for? Is this, like, for example, is it biased towards people that have no experience? What if you want to hire someone right out of college? They don't have sales experience. Talk about bias when it comes to this.
Yeah, so Talent Plus focused on bias before I think any other company that I worked with. So this was something that is really kind of built into their research process. None of their assessments will discriminate on the things we don't want it to discriminate on. So for example, it's not going to discriminate on age or gender or ethnicity or marital status or any of that. So there's no adverse impact that comes with their assessment. At the same time, you asked about experience, and that's something that is really important to me because talent is expensive. Experience is expensive.
Yeah.
If you want to fill a job with someone who's been in that role for 20 years, you're going to pay a lot to get them over simply because their resume is so impressive. Talent is actually really affordable. You might be able to find someone who has very little to even no experience, but who is truly born and built to do the job. They will learn quickly. They'll get up to speed quickly. They'll reach a level of excellence that's higher than someone else. And I love the fact that this assessment, you can give it to someone who is in college with no experience whatsoever or a veteran, and it's going to be equally as accurate.
Yeah, that's really excellent because, and I've heard you say this on phone calls with clients, where unless you're interviewing 100% of the people that apply for the job, you're using something to screen out people, right? Typically, what people use is a resume to screen out. So if someone doesn't have the right experience, they're never getting a shot.
That's right. That's right. And we want this OSTI to happen as early in the process as possible. A lot of our clients, I think, have the best practice of putting it at the very beginning of their process. I'm actually hiring right now for my own department, and I put it at the very, very beginning of the process before I even ever interact with someone at all. And the reason why is you're going, like you said, you're going to end up screening anyway. Unless you interview 100% of the candidates that come to you, you're screening based on things like a resume. In this case, you're spending your time really wisely on those that have the right stuff. But even better than that, when you meet with someone for the first time in an interview situation, typically the hiring manager is spending the whole time trying to be a detective, trying to figure out, does this person have the stuff I need them to have to be successful? And now I don't need to do that. I know their strengths. I know their weaknesses. I can learn so much more about them and their behaviors and whatnot in our conversation.
All right, so you threw out some CSS lingo, and we are famous for all of our acronyms. You said OSTI. What is that?
So the OSTI is the online sales talent interview. So that's the instrument that we use as our talent assessment for sales. Ironically, that's about to change. We're changing the name of the OSTI.
Are we breaking news right here? Is this
breaking news? It is going to be called, drumroll, the Sales Talent Assessment, the STA. That way, all of our assessments will have similar language. It'll be easier to keep straight. So
we are so creative with our naming. I mean, who would have ever thought Sales Talent Assessment would become the name of a Sales Talent Assessment? Fantastic.
Clever.
Fantastic. All right, one last question. Because, and this plays to this whole notion of, oh, and by the way, if you have more questions about the sales talent assessment, the OSTI, if you have more questions about how we built it, or how it's used, or when it's used in the process, or how it all works, the science behind it, you can always reach out to Beth or anyone on our talent department, in our talent department for that matter. We are always happy to have those conversations with you if you're interested. We're not going to spend 90 minutes. We could easily spend 90 minutes going in on that one subject. So if you want to get a hold of Beth, please get a hold of her. Last question, because turning talent into performance is how we started this. Okay. And we know that 85% of sales managers are using assessments, and that 85% of them feel really good about it. But a talent assessment tells you what someone's talents or strengths are, or what they have but whether or not they're using them all the time is, who knows, right? They might not be fully developed. So once someone makes the decision to hire someone, I know that one of the things that you and the talent department really focuses on is helping people come up with priority coaching strategies. Can you share with us an example of what a priority coaching strategy is? Like, if you have this talent, this might be a coaching. Show us what that looks like in the real world.
Okay. Yeah. I think I'm speaking on behalf of everyone on our talent team. I think that's actually the part we love most about our job. The people we hire, the talents I look for are all about coaching and understanding people. So this is where I think we really sort of earn our stripes. We work with our clients to think through the unique needs of any individual that they're coaching, and truly no two people should be coached the same way. So that's where the concept of priority coaching strategies come in. Let me think of one that's common. So there's a talent of achiever. There are drives and values. There's a grouping called drives and values. So these are the things that drive the very best salespeople to get out of bed in the morning and go, hit it one more time and reach higher. And one of those drives and values is called achiever. So when someone has a talent in achiever, what we know about them just right off the bat is they like to keep score. They like to keep score against themselves. And the measurements, the scorecard that they keep for themselves is really what powers them. It's what drives them forward. So an example of a strategy we would give to a manager coaching someone with high achiever is make sure you provide them with a lot of quantifiable objectives and a lot of measurements, a lot of scores. They need to see at any given time where they are and where they're going, and be able to have that intrinsic motivation happen naturally by looking at those scores. Now, if someone doesn't have achiever, then we're in a different position. Instead of growing or coaching a strength, we're working around a weakness. And that's okay. We all have strengths. We all have weaknesses. If your manager knows what your weaknesses are, though, and if you know what your weaknesses are, you can work around them. So if I were managing someone with lower achiever, I would just make sure that they're not setting lower goals for themselves. I'd make sure that we're constantly discussing clear activity goals. I'm adding stretch if needed, and then I'm using something that does motivate them to get them excited. So let's say they are lacking an achiever, but they have strong relationship. I'm gonna really earn their trust and support them, and kind of use our relationship as a motivation for them in working around that lower achiever. So does that answer your question?
Yeah. No, I think that's exactly it. It's one thing to be able to identify someone's talents. It's another thing to be able to coach them to their strengths and get the most out of them, right? I mean, it's like the old book, Soar with Your Strengths, right? I mean, it's exactly that. But in order to do that, you have to identify what their talents are first.
That's right.
Otherwise, the coaching's generic at best.
Right. And we make the assumption that every salesperson is outgoing or every salesperson is competitive. And that's not true. You'd be amazed at how many salespeople who are really good at what they do aren't competitive at all. Do you know some of them are not even money motivated? Not that they would turn away a paycheck. The paycheck is valuable, but it's not what drives them. There are salespeople that are driven by very different things. And if you understand each unique person, you can help turn talent into performance for them. And when you grow a person, you grow your sales organization.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Shay just put in the comment box a link to or I know we just recently produced an ebook.
Oh, right.
On coaching sales talent. So if you're hearing this and you're like, I want some of those coaching strategies, where can I get them? We have a free ebook. You can go and get it. And it's coaching strategies for all the sales talents that we track and help to turn talent into performance. Is that correct?
That's right.
Did I get that right?
That's right. So if you use the OSTI, you're going to know exactly what someone's strengths are, and it'll be a great guide for you. If you don't, that's okay. I think you'll still get a lot out of it, because you can use your gut instinct for now and think about an individual and what behaviors you see most often, and use it as a guide for that.
And I learned a new trick on our software here. So Stephanie Downs said, or Stephanie D, I think she's incognito right now. She says talent plus fit times investment equals growth. Love that. What is that?
Yeah, that's what we call our growth formula. So talent plus fit is the key to getting a person right. So you need to, if you're in a position to hire, you need to pay close attention to their talent, and then how they fit in the job, fit with your company, fit with your style. And when you get the talent and the fit right, then you are the investment in many ways. The investment is the coaching, the training, the time spent in field, the relationship, the support, everything that you can apply to make that talent blossom. And I always call that the great multiplier, because that your investment is what's going to really create the growth. And that's what the formula ends with. So it's talent plus fit times investment equals growth. Growth for the person, growth for the organization.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for being a guest on the live cast. This was fun to talk about, not just hiring people, but actually selecting talented people, and then taking it that next and helping sales managers turn talent into performance, which is really what all of this is about. So thank you so much. If you want to get a hold of Beth, Shay will put her information up on the screen. That's perfect. Join us next week when we're gonna continue unpacking the media sales report. Specifically, we're going to talk about sales training and development, and John Henley and Greg Gersh are going to be the guests, and we'll probably spend a good 30 minutes talking about what sales training looks like now and the difference between just in case versus and just in time training. And there's a lot of really interesting things that are going on in the sales training and development world. And John and Greg have really separated themselves from almost everyone else with the expertise that they have when it comes to not just identifying what needs to be trained on. I think a lot of people do that, but how to train on it so that it can help to turn talent into performance. Also, I have a special favor. Please, if you're liking what you're seeing here, and go to our YouTube page and like, subscribe, share, set the alert. But thank you so much for getting us to 150 subscribers. We really want to get to 500. First it was, can we get to 50? And then it was to get to 100. Now, as of yesterday, we're at 150. We really, really want to get to 500. The only way that happens is with your help. And if you like what you're seeing, please tell a friend, share it, like it, subscribe to it. We want subscribers. And thank you very much. And we'll cue the music and we'll see you next week. Stay safe, everybody.
I've been told that the fire's old, and when stars are in light, though we would know.